The text in today's lectionary readings seem to be in conversation with each other about the soul's longing for fulfillment. Ecclesiastes takes a tone of discouragement about the soul's journey, as if it is the vanity of vanities. In Hebrew, it's phrase havel havalim, meaning something intangible and fleeting like breath or vapor. Such is the soul's transience. In Luke's gospel, Jesus warns us that our soul is much more than our self-centered notions about fulfillment in the here and now. And in Colossians, we learn a different road for the soul's journey. The practice of a spiritual mindset grounded in the example of Christ, eschewing earthly rewards for embodying Christ's love in the world. Together, these texts speak to the tension we all carry. How do we live in this world and set our hearts on things above? How do we survive, even thrive, without losing sight of God? Recently, my husband and I revived our last will and testament. And like Solomon, like Kohelet, we imagined the future with a mix of hope and skepticism. We asked the questions that so many ask when they begin to think about legacy. Will the causes we care about still exist when we're gone? Will our children have children? Will laws shift, markets fall? Will inflation continue to mushroom like a storm cloud rising? And so, like Kohelet, I found myself murmuring about life's transience. Havel havalim, vanity of vanities. All is vapor, all is breath. My grandparents left behind a legacy, both good and complicated. Their privilege and promises shaped my childhood. Inheriting the family farm was a hope my grandparents instilled in me from a young age, and as a child, I found comfort in the thought that I would always live there. But ultimately, it did not turn out that way. Their dream didn't come to pass, and it has proven to be the better alternative for my life and the life of others. Our legacy is not always what we think it will be. Sometimes the very things we try to pass down, our values, our dreams, our investments, don't land where we hope or become entirely obsolete. More and more, I find myself grieving the legacies we've inherited culturally and spiritually. Lately, I resonate with Kohelet's vanity of vanities vibe about world affairs, where once I trusted in our nation's commitment to the common good, to deliberation, to compromise, I now feel dismayed watching rights unravel under the banner of state sovereignty and national security. I grieve as communities fracture under the strain of greed, climate-related disasters, and authoritarianism. And I grieve the church, Christ's church, which too often fails to embody the love, justice, and humility it proclaims. It feels as if all our striving, the building, the justice seeking, the loving, is blown away or evaporated in an instant. To the best of their ability, generations have tried to hand forward truths, values, principles into history through traditions and institutions. But their purest intentions have frequently been obscured by selfishness and ignorance. And yet still, the divine spirit moves. Still, something holy keeps awakening in the hearts of people willing to surrender and be reshaped. Individually, the meaning we build for ourselves through our contributions at work, our service in the community, or in building a security for our family, it's also short-lived. This past Friday, after a long week full of work stress, my husband and I collapsed into laughter and frustration, singing together, half serious, "Take this job and shove it." We wondered, how much of our sacrificing is really worth it? And then I think of the road crews on the sweltering Tennessee highways out there under the brutal afternoon sun while I drive by in my air-conditioned car, briefly inconvenienced by their barricades and orange barrels. And I wonder, where do they find meaning? We don't always get to see the difference we make. Sometimes it feels like our life work is nothing more than a butterfly caught in the topsy-turvy turbulence of interstate traffic. Fragile, beautiful, and easily overlooked. We have so little that we can control. Jesus told a parable of a man whose harvest was too big for his barns. So he decided to build bigger barns and planned to relax, to eat, drink, and be merry. But it was a foolish endeavor because he believed he could secure his life through accumulation and self-sufficiency. He forgot he was mortal. He forgot that breath is borrowed. He forgot that true happiness cannot be stored in barns. The mindset of Habel Havalim is strikingly similar to what we in 12 Steps Recovery call addictive thinking. It's a mental trap of filtering all of life through the lens of me, myself, and I. When the ego self becomes the center of our world, everything eventually feels empty and meaningless. One of the core teachings in 12 Steps Recovery is staying vigilant about our self-centeredness, how it disguises itself in our habits, our fears, even our ambitions. People who call themselves grateful recovering addicts have learned that spiritual connection, not more control or more stuff, is the way out of the madness and despair of vain pursuits. To experience this connection, we surrender our self-will to God daily. We let go of Havel, Havalim mindset, and we adopt a spiritual mindset, like the one described in Colossians. We seek what is above and connect to the higher power that is all in all. Through the lens of that kind of interconnectedness, life becomes clearer and richer, as if we replaced our old black and white television for the latest ultra high definition screen. We can see that we are a part of something much bigger than we had previously imagined. Havel Havalim is translated as vanity of vanities because of its connotation of emptiness and futility. However, at its root, Havel simply means breath or vapor. But Hebrew has another word for breath, ruach. Kohelet doesn't use it, but other biblical books do. Ruach is the Spirit of God hovering over the waters. Ruach is the breath that creates and empowers. Ruach is the breath that gives life. We human beings live and breathe in the mysterious tension between Havel and Ruach. What if there is a sacred exchange in every breath we take? We exhale a havel, the spent breath, the breath of endings. And we inhale ruach, the fresh breath of God, the breath of new beginnings. As we let go of what once sustained us, we can receive what's next. So maybe Havel isn't meant to lead us into despair over meaningless, but into release, to remind us that breath is fleeting, but also sacred, that we are dust, yes, but dust beloved and breathed into by God. Every exhale of Havel makes space for the inhale of Ruach, God's breath, God's presence, God's renewing spirit. So what can we do? We breathe. We let go, we begin again, and we trust, however small our contribution may seem, that it matters, not because it's lasting, but because it's lived. Amen.